Hi everyone, thanks for joining. Whilst we wait for everyone else to join, I'm going to play a 2-minute video introducing Royal Arsenal Riverside. Right, I hope everyone enjoyed that. Good afternoon. So nice to see we have a good turnout. I'm Nanette from Colliers International. Thank you for joining our webinar today, where we'll be showcasing more of the fantastic Royal Arsenal Riverside development over in Woolwich. We'll be sharing some top tips on how to purchase your new home with Help to Buy, as well as some interesting insights on the housing market. Here are our guest presenters today. We're going to kick off with the market update from Oliver. He's the Deputy Chief Economist in our research team at Colliers. It's been a strange year for all of us, but it's not all doom and gloom as the newspapers make it out to be. We'll then explore Royal Arsenal Riverside with Rizwan from Barclay. He'll give an overview of the development and talk about the current phase for sale, Navigator Wharf. We then have Jordan from Capital Finance giving you some top tips and an overview of the buying process with Help to Buy, and then we're finishing off with some Q&A at the end. If you do think of a question at any point during the presentation, feel free to type it in the Q&A box and we'll answer them at the end. Right, so without any further ado, I'm going to hand you over to my colleague Oliver, who's going to give you a quick update on the housing market.
Yep, thank you very much, Nanette, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. As Nanette mentioned, my name is Oliver. I sit within the research team at Colliers, and I'll be spending around 10 minutes just talking about general market trends. I think I'm a bit of the warm-up act today, before Rizwan and Jordan talk a little bit more about the developments and the buying process in detail. And if there's any questions coming up, feel free to use the Q&A function and hopefully I can answer most of those. So if we look at this first slide, I think it's not a surprise that residential market activity plummeted quite significantly in the second quarter. That's in line with the general economic picture as well. Obviously, we entered the first national lockdown in March of 2020, and you can clearly see in the data that there has been a big drop in the number of property transactions in the second quarter. However, the market has since picked up and has improved again, and the third and fourth quarters have seen quite significant increases in property transactions again. I think the interesting bit here in this chart, though, is the split between those properties that are liable to stamp duty and those that are exempt from stamp duty. So the dark blue bars, they show you the number of transactions that are not liable to stamp duty. And the significant increase in Q3 and Q4 in the dark blue bar was driven by the stamp duty holiday. Now we expect the first half of the year to see pretty similar levels of transactions because the stamp duty holiday was obviously extended to the end of June. and will then be slowly phased out to the end of the year. There was also some research released by Rightmove, and they said that around 100,000 property transactions could have missed out if the scheme was ended as previously planned at the end of March. Next slide, please, Nanette. So this chart here looks how the Help to Buy equity scheme has helped first-time buyers since it was first introduced in 2013. So in 2013, it was just over 10,000 buyers per year who have benefited from the scheme. In 2019, this figure was north of 40,000. Now, obviously, because of COVID, there has been a drop in the take-up of this scheme in 2020. But we do expect quite a strong increase again in Q1 and Q2 of this year. So overall, the scheme has helped around 250,000 first-time buyers since 2013, and the total amount that was lent to individuals under that scheme amounts to around £14 billion. What's also interesting is that the average equity loan size, so the average that a person would borrow under the scheme, increased from around £40,000 in 2013 to around 70,000 this year. So you can see it's quite a big increase in the size of the scheme. And I don't want to take Jordan's thunder away, but obviously if you have a big equity loan, it reduces your mortgage interest rate quite significantly. And I'm sure Jordan will talk about that in a little bit more detail later on. Next slide, please, Nanette. So what I've done here was I looked at the Greenwich area in particular and how the Help to Buy has helped first-time buyers in this area. And I think the key takeaway here is that you can see a big increase from 2016 to 2017 in the number of completions under the scheme. And you may wonder, why is that? So the reason for this is that in 2016, the upper limit of the equity loan in London was raised from 20% to 40%. Which obviously means that a larger number of people were able to buy properties under the scheme. And London accounts for the large majority of the Help to Buy scheme across the UK. Greenwich alone accounts for around 7% of London's total. And I said to you that across the UK, the average loan size increased from around 40,000 to 70,000 in those 7 years. Now for London, it's even more significant. In 2013, it was around £52,000. So that was the average loan size, whereas in 2020, it's £166,000. So you can get £166,000 on average as an interest-free loan for 5 years from the government. And again, it will reduce the mortgage interest rates significantly. Next slide, please. So I only talk about house price growth because a lot of people in the media focus on house price growth, and they see it as one of the most important indicators and measures of the residential market. Now, obviously, it only looks at supply and demand dynamics, so it's quite limited if you just look at house price growth on its own. But I've shown you a couple of other charts already that suggested that housing activity has picked up again. Nonetheless, it's interesting to look at house prices anyways, because everyone wants to know how the value of their property may change over time, right? Is it a good investment? Is it not a good investment? What are house prices generally doing? So this chart shows you the split between London and the UK, excluding London, and this is for first-time buyers only. So the average house price for first-time buyer in London in 2020, is around £440,000. Again, if you get the equity loan, you can reduce your mortgage size quite significantly. And I think the important takeaway from house price in general is that at Colliers, we don't expect house price growth to go away next year, this year, next year. We do expect that house price growth will probably slow at some point, but because of the supply and demand imbalance, and also because of all the various government support schemes, the introduction of the 95% LTV mortgages, we do believe that activity will remain strong and thereby drive further house price growth. So that's it from me for today. Again, if you have any questions at the end, feel free to use the Q&A function. And I'm now going to hand over to Rizwan to talk about the development.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so sorry about the mute. Well, I'm Rizwan from Berkeley Royal Arsenal, and I'm excited to present you Royal Arsenal Riverside today. So the focus would be that by the end of this, you would know more about Royal Arsenal, and in particular, Navigator Wharf. Now, Royal Arsenal Riverside is one of the most unique development from my experience in London, and it's been very successful. It has a very successful past when it used to be a defense ministry place and played a key role in wars, etc. And from that point now, after more than 20 years of hard work, we have established it into a destination where more than 3,500 homes have been sold, and we've seen a price growth of more than 200% over the time because of all of more than 20 years of hard work. And it's already a thriving riverside community. In terms of location, it's located in Woolwich, which is in southeast London in Royal Borough of Greenwich, which is where the world-renowned Greenwich Mean Time Line is. And it is one of the best connected and the fastest growing areas in London. And since, as Oliver also explained, that in this part of London, the house prices have been growing quite well, but also there is so many more projects are coming in this particular area, which I'll be touching on later on in a slide. But let me tell you about our development map. So on this slide, you can see the most of the highlighted buildings on this development. That's total area of 88 acres. The entire 88 acres is what we purchased from Defense Ministry of Britain in 1996. And as I said, today it's an established place. So all the hard work has already been done in this place. So all of these pinpointed things you can see, they are the amenities and facilities which we have made within the development. And I'll be telling you more about them on forthcoming slides. But on this map, you can see the Royal Arsenal, the building we are talking about today, the phase we're talking about today is West Quay, which is on the far right, and in particular, Navigator Wharf. Next slide, please. History. So as I mentioned that Royal Arsenal Riverside, the history can be traced back to Woolwich Dockyard from Henry VIII in 15th century. So it has played quite a significant role in many wars in the UK because it was one of the most important armament factory place and hence an important military site. And then using that history, and that time it was quite a popular and very rich area. And then there was a brief time when it fell to disrepair, and that's when Berkeley wanted to make sure that we regenerate its rich culture, its rich history into a successful present. And let me show you what we have done so far. So in terms of the community, that is one of the key things I would say in this particular development, because unlike many of the developments in London you will see, they are all about a building, 2 or 3 or 4, whereas in this case, as I said, it's an 88 acres, it's tens of buildings on the development. So the community was at the heart of everything when we were designing this particular development. So at the moment, there are more than 7,000 residents living on the development, and we have organized many events over the past, but even through the year, we organized more than 60 events to engage our community and to make sure there is something for all types of residents to cheer. And that naming, for instance, likes of summer event, Christmas lights, and we organize farmers market twice a month and many more events we organize here. Moving to next slide. As I said, and one of the things here, as you noticed on the map, that there were several pinpoints, and most of them were pointing at these amenities. Now, it's an established place. So all of these amenities you can see here listed, they are all already here. So whether you want to do your daily shopping at as good as Marks and Spencer's or Sainsbury's or Tesco, they are here on site. We also have some fantastic pubs and gastro restaurants and bars, and to name in particular a 2-star trained Michelin chef who lives on site and runs his restaurant on site, very successful. In addition to that, of course, one needs a GP, a pharmacies, a dental surgeries, and many other facilities like, so if you want to purchase your brand new BMW, you can get that within the development. Now, as I mentioned, in addition to the amenities, on the next slide, I'll show you the landscape, that how good the landscape is here. Now, as I said, it's an 88 acres land, and more than 11 acres of that 88 acres we have given to the green space. And that also includes a 4.5 acre garden, which is adjacent to the building we're talking about today, Navigator Wharf. And in fact, the pictures here, we're showing the 2 of the 3 pictures are of that garden and relating to that phase. But not only that, we have a 1 kilometer of river walk on the development, and we also have one of the largest green roofs on this development. So you can be sure that you get a best of a village sort of tranquility, green space, but at the same time, a London-like amenities and very convenient lifestyle. Now, moving to the transportation, in addition to what we've spoke about, in London, if one thing makes a property very successful, in addition to the things we've just spoken about, and that surely is the connections, how well that place is connected with the rest of London. Now, we are very well connected, and we are one of the best connected places in Southeast. As you can see on these logos, that at the moment, there's a river taxi, there's a DLR, National Rail services, which can take you to all the way to central London within 20 to 30 minutes. You can go to the largest, Europe's largest shopping center, Westfield, as shown in the bottom left picture, within 20 minutes, and you can be in central London within 20 to 30 minutes as far as Waterloo, Cannon Street, and Charing Cross. But best of all is the Elizabeth line. And let me show you on the next slide, the Elizabeth line. With the help of Elizabeth line, we can get to key areas of London, for instance, Canary Wharf in 7 minutes, Liverpool Street, which is where the largest Barclays sort of clients work, in that within 14 minutes, and you can go to one of the largest and the best streets in the world, Oxford Street, within 21 minutes, but all the way to Heathrow without changing a train. Now, for that reason, Crossrail, or the name Elizabeth Line, is a game-changing project for us. Many property gurus and those who are consultants in this industry, they say that once Woolwich Crossrail station become a reality or launched, it could push the rental and home prices more than 5%. So that's another thing which is a great reason for you to buy here. It's set to launch hopefully first half of next year. So that's even better. That's the better time to buy now. Now, in addition to the things we have spoken about, we also have some of the fantastic facilities within the development. And one of the best thing is Woolwich Works. Now, Woolwich Works is a West End-like project, which is one of the largest creative districts of London, more than 15,000 of square feet. Now, what are those facilities? That include an art gallery, and a theatre. We have more than 1,500 seats event venue. We have an orchestra company will be joining in there, and more than 10 studios for artists to rehearse. Now, it's going to create more than 400 jobs, as well as we expect people to come from the rest of London to enjoy these facilities. So not only you can take your visitors in there, you can enjoy yourself, but also this is another reason why it's a great place to buy, and why it will continue to become more and more successful. Now, moving to next slide. Now, we've spoke about what role Arsenal has and how well it is connected, but another thing, which is, I think, makes it a complete place to invest, is regeneration and how many more future projects coming here. So Woolwich at large, to receive £3.8 million of funding from the government. That includes a new high street, which is British Land. So British Land is a company, for those who do not know, they own the freehold of majority of the Oxford Street. So they are the one who purchased a good number of properties and shops on High Street with £103 million. They're going to regenerate it, and likes of some big names, Legal & General and Woolwich Exchange. They're on the Spray Street across the development. These are the big projects which are set to begin in around 2023. And for that reason, we expect that Woolwich will become one of the key area because of all of these infrastructural projects, and for that we expect our capital gains to continue to increase. So all in all, it has everything, all the key ingredients for one to live and enjoy and invest. Now, that was all about Royal Arsenal and Woolwich. Now it brings me to Navigator Wharf. Now, Navigator Wharf is the main development, which is in the phase we call West Quay. But Navigator Wharf is due to complete between July and August this year. And due to its timeline, it's also available to first-time buyers, which makes it a fantastic opportunity, because Navigator Wharf is a prime, not only it's on the prime location, just a few meters away from the river, along that 4.5 acre garden, but also it is one of our premium collection. And later on, I'll show you the photos. And these photos on the far right, or the right-hand half, are the actual pictures of the Navigator Wharf. The combination of silver and a dusty gold makes it look a premium building. Now, on to the next slide, if you will notice that the interior. So these photos are taken from our showroom, which available for you to see with appointment only. We can talk about that later, but you can see a shower room photo shown here. So you have a fantastic detail designed in the bathroom, and also in terms of the kitchen, same consistent quality in the kitchen. So you can see some integrated appliances. They are Siemens appliances. There's one of the world-renowned brands. You have some bronze mirror splashbacks. We're offering 2 choices in the kitchen on alternative floors. For instance, all the odd floor numbers will give you a stone splashback and slate gray kitchen with Siemens appliances, and all the even can give you slightly different champagne gold on the cupboards and bronze mirror on the splashback, whereas the rest remain the same. And of course, all the apartments have a balcony. Now, considering the Help to Buy, we have available on Help to Buy on the 1-bedroom apartments. These are the 3 types of layouts we have between the 2nd and 17th floor within this building. And what we've done in this particular slide, we've shown you the layout in the orientation. So for instance, the 2 on the left, they are southwest facing, whereas the one on the far end is southeast facing. So for instance, if I can briefly explain, if one is looking for a larger living room and a larger and a big window in the bedroom, then the center layout, which is type 6C, is the best out of all. Whereas if you prefer to have a larger balcony, for instance, 5.3 meter long, with equally exciting and a big window, as you can see on the far right, then the type 4AH on the far right is the best one. Whereas the one on the far left, type 5E, that is what we've made our showroom in. It gives you best of both, with a big wardrobe and covered coats, whereas the rest of the things remain the same. So we've got a good number of apartments available, and prices, if you move to the next slide, you'll see the prices start from £499,000. Now, and one thing which is often when it comes to first-time buyers, these are the sort of luxurious facilities which they're not accessible to first-time buyers. Whereas in this case, you can enjoy a luxury lifestyle at one of the best service charges, a £3.96 estimated service charge at present, which will give you access to these 24-hour facilities. As you can see, floor map of the resident exclusive facility. Now, the best thing is that it's also resident exclusive. So no one else, for instance, the older buildings we built in the last 20 years or so, most of them do not have access to it. So you paying almost similar service charge, but you get access to this fantastic luxury facility. 24 hours gym in there, 24 hours cinema room where you can cater up to 12 friends, 24-hour concierge, as well as you have a 20-meter pool. There's a vitality pool in addition to swimming pool, sauna and steam room. So it is one of the best facility you can get considering the service charges. Now, onto the next slide. So we spoke about 1-bedrooms. Like I said, they are available from £499,000 to £540,000 between 2nd and 17th floor. In terms of size, they're almost identical, 51 to 52 square meter, or 549 to 560. But we also have 2 and 3 bedroom apartments available. So if you are looking for a larger apartment and you don't have to use Help to Buy, please do get in contact with us, and we can organize a special appointment for you. We can take you in the apartments on construction sites. In terms of buying, now, I strongly believe that this is the best time to buy a home, and there's several reasons for that. For instance, in this case, a first-time buyer, you have great interest rate, one of the lowest of all time, and our fellow presenter Jordan will touch on that more. That your interest rate could be as low as 1.2% or 1.5% if you fix them, depending on how much deposit, etc. you use, which means that if you are renting a 1-bedroom here, for instance, you'll be paying a rent of around £1,500 per month. Whereas if you're buying a property on Help to Buy with a minimum 5% deposit, your monthly mortgage on Help to Buy could be as little as £900 a month. And that is what shows you that it's a great opportunity to buy your own home. It, of course, secures your investment. We spoke about how great place this is to live. At the same time, all the infrastructure projects yet to come on the development. So it also makes you a secure investment. At the moment, the government has several incentives. That stamp duty is one of them. So you will benefit from a lower stamp duty and a bit of relief from that. And as you know, it's a brand new building, so you can be the first person to move in a brand new apartment, a lower outgoing than the rental. Another benefit of buying from Berkeley is that we give you a dedicated customer service manager, aftercare manager, or customer care as we call them, and they will look after you for 2 years. If anything goes wrong, build related in the property, you've got nothing to worry about. We will take care of that. And we have our office on development, which most of the developers cannot say that to you. In addition to that, you get another added another 8 years on top of those 2 years, a total 10 years warranty. So hopefully we look forward to welcome you one day here to Royal Arsenal. And if there's any question, you can ask us at the end of this in Q&A, and I'll pass you on to Jordan Smith from Capricorn.
Thank you very much, Rizwan, for the great presentation. Hi, everybody. So I'm Jordan here from Capricorn Financial. I'm here just to provide you with an overview of the landscape of mortgages at the moment, to try and provide a bit of insight in terms of what's available and what you can expect as a first-time buyer, and really just to offer, as I said, just a bit of an overview about the process. So a little bit about Capricorn. So we've been around since 2005. We're one of the largest independent mortgage brokerages in London. And we're very much specialised in new builds and Help to Buy markets. We've got a lot of advisors here. So off the back of this presentation, if anybody did want to arrange an appointment in order to have a look in detail at your personal circumstances, that's something that could be arranged very, very quickly. And we offer free advice to all Colliers and St. George clients. So to kick off first, if we could just jump to the next slide. Where's the market at the moment? As Rizwan alluded to, interest rates at the moment are as low as they've ever been. So I would say probably at the beginning of 2020, things really started to hit the bottom, and we were seeing even some banks produce interest rates at sub 1%. In light of the pandemic and some of the additional risk that's perceived by the bank as a result of job insecurity and things like that, we've seen things creep up ever so slightly over the last 6 months. But even this week, I've had emails from 5 different lenders saying that they're reducing their rates. So it's an incredible time to buy from that perspective. And when you bring in Help to Buy, the stamp duty, land tax, holidays, it really does create a really positive buying environment. And what we've seen as well, which is really interesting, is the banks are producing a lot more new and interesting criteria, which can expand people's horizons even more. This is a large part coming in the form of guarantor mortgages and joint borrower, sole proprietor. But it just means that a lot of people who might have been excluded previously can now get on the housing ladder. And in addition to this, anybody who's had credit issues in the past or have had problems where, we've had missed payments, a lot of publications that you'll see will mean that this is not very possible, or that it might be very difficult to get a mortgage. Whereas we've seen a lot more banks openly coming out with new policies to say that they're trying to do as much as they can to lend to these clients. So it's a great time to buy. Help to Buy, which is really the main thing that I'm here to discuss today, although I will expand a little bit into wider first-time buyer mortgages. So to give an overview on the scheme, so the second tier of Help to Buy has just kicked off. So it started in 2021 and it's running through to 2023. So great boost there for first-time buyers. This scheme, as the name would present, is only available to first-time buyers, whereas previously Help to Buy was open to all people. And how it works essentially is that if you were able to put together 5% as a deposit from a house, what we can then get further to that is an extra 40% from the government, which will allow you to put down 45% as your deposit for the mortgage, and then we can put together an extra 55% from there in order to facilitate the purchase. One restriction that you'll find, and it's why it's so important to take advice when you're looking at taking out a mortgage, is that despite some banks might say we can go to 5 or 5.5 times your salary, there are built-in restrictions around Help to Buy in terms of how much you can borrow. But as a broad brush, most people we can get up to 4.5 times salary. So when we reverse engineer those calculations, it should give a good idea as to what's possible. But we would always look to review your circumstances, and after a very quick conversation with one of our advisors, we could give you an exact figure in terms of the maximum you can purchase under the Help to Buy scheme. There is a bit of additional processing. So obviously the mortgage is one side of things. There's also some work that needs to be done alongside the government by applying direct to the Help to Buy scheme. But it's a very simple process, one form that needs to be filled out. And obviously, if using a broker such as myself, we can help manage that entire process. And what's great is any interest connected to that particular loan is interest-free for 5 years. So the scheme itself is absolutely brilliant. And whether the market goes up or whether the market goes down, that loan is only ever going to be a proportion of the equity, which again, should hopefully provide a bit of comfort and a bit of security for buyers. So for anybody who's looking to purchase, not through Help to Buy, obviously for any of the 2 beds and 3 beds, it looks like they're going to sit above 600,000, which is the cutoff for Help to Buy. There's also great news. So for anybody who was paying attention to Rishi Sunak's budget last week, you'll have seen that the government's put in place a new scheme, which is supposed to incentivize lenders in order to start providing 95% mortgages. We haven't received the details now, and we haven't had any banks coming out with products, but we are sure that they're on the way. But it's looking very, very likely that we'll start to see a lot more 95% deals coming into the marketplace, which again, will hopefully open up options for a lot more people. But currently, if you're a first-time buyer looking in that space, we can get up to 5 times your basic salary. And even more so, we actually had a bank come out last week saying they're able to do 5.5 times joint income. So again, really pushing the boundaries to allow people to have a lot more options to purchase. And we can currently get up to 90% mortgages. There's a bit of concern at the moment still off the back of COVID and processing restrictions, and whether the surveyors are going to be able to access the properties, causing bottlenecks. We're not seeing any of that at all. There's a lot of banks, NatWest, Santander, Barclays, all working on a 1-day turnaround time to assess documentation, and surveys are comfortably taking place within weeks from applications going forward. So again, the environment's very, very good. And just to give a flavor of what interest rates are looking like, as you can see, with just a 10% deposit, interest rates around the 3.2% mark, dropping down to 2.14% with a 15% deposit, and at the bottom end of that scale at 1.39%. As was alluded to earlier in the presentation, what's amazing about Help to Buy is that even though you're putting down a 5% cash contribution, the government are then providing a further 40%. So that takes you right down the boundings in terms of what rates are available. So not only are you able to expand your horizons as a result of the scheme and actually have much more purchasing power than you were without it, it also means that you're eligible for much better rates of interest in order to keep things cheap and affordable. So just to give an overview about the application process, and just to give a bit of a signposting as to how it would all work. So what we always look to do, if you're looking to purchase a unit under Help to Buy, as I said, it's very simple for us to work out exactly what's possible. So one of our advisors would ideally set up a meeting. We can do it very quickly. Appreciate everybody's busy at the moment. So 20, 30 minutes, we can do it over Teams or over Zoom. We can then run through the official government calculator, go through your income and expenditure and come up with that figure. Assuming you're happy and you wanted to start moving things forward, we could easily get you agreed in principle, so you know how much you can borrow and that we've got lending options, and we'll then provide a suite of options that are suitable for your circumstances. Once we've done that, then hopefully it's over to you to go find the perfect unit down at Royal Arsenal in order to reserve. And once that's done, and we're within 6 months of the purchase process, Capricorn will then be able to assist to get a mortgage offer agreed within 2 weeks. We can manage the help to buy process and really just make things as smooth and as easy as possible, and updating and supporting you every step of the way. That's everything from me, and I think I'll pass back over to Nanette.
Thank you very much, Jordan, Rizwan and Ollie. I hope everyone found that interesting and useful. Please do use the time now to send through any questions you may have for any of us. As Ollie, Jordan and Rizwan mentioned, if you'd like to speak to any of them after this webinar, you can also leave your name and contact details in the Q&A bit, and we'll get in touch with you after. Your details won't be visible to everyone on this call, so don't worry. Now on to a few questions we did receive during the presentation, which I'll go through now. First one's for Rizwan. What are your opening hours, and can we get into Navigator Wharf to see the actual flats?
Right, if I may answer, thank you, Nanette. Well, we open 7 days a week between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. And in terms of arranging visits to the Navigator Wharf apartments, we have appointments available. So again, you can get in touch with us through Nanette, and we can organize an appointment for you and take you and bring you in the apartments.
Thanks, Rizwan. Second question here is for Jordan. Do you handle UK expat mortgages?
We do. So we've actually got a wider team that deal with international clients, anyone based overseas. And we've got loads of great options for expats as well.
Great. Jordan, another one for you as well. Do you find that lenders are being more willing to lend despite the pandemic?
I'd say everything's assessed on people's circumstances. Where we've had difficulties are with people that are in industries that have been very affected. So I've got some people in travel, particularly in travel sales, which obviously the banks are taking a bit more consideration when your income is highly made up of commission and things like that. So it's hard to give a one-size-fits-all answer. But for the majority of people who are still employed and haven't suffered from an income perspective as a result of the pandemic, then the bank's absolutely keen to lend, and there's some amazing options out there.
Perfect, great. And another question for Jordan. What kind of additional charges do we pay brokers for the service?
So ours are really simple. For the arrangement of a mortgage, we charge a fee of just £250, which is payable right at the end of the process. But if you just want an idea of what you can borrow, what your options are and everything else, we don't charge anything at all. And we're happy to give all of our time in order to get you to where you need to be.
Perfect. Right, does anyone have any more questions? If no, well, thank you again for attending, and thank you for those leaving your details as well, requesting for more information. I'll make sure the right person will be in touch with you guys later today. But have a great day, everyone. Thank you again.